Hello, this is Teresa and I'm back with another card tutorial for Dare to be Artsy. Today I'll be showing you how I created these flip fold cards using some supplies from Dare to be Artsy. I'll, while this set may not inspire a lot of excitement in terms of what the topic is, for those times when you may need to make a card to raise the spirits of a friend who's going through a tough battle with cancer, this stamp set is actually perfect to create that kind of a card. So I'm using a couple of the pattern papers from Dare to be Artsy. I'm going to be cutting these to basically an unfolded A2 card size. So they're going to be 8.5 inches long on the long side, and then I'm going to cut it to 5.5 inches on the opposite side. Now, as you'll notice, I'm leaving the decorative strip on that one end, and it's going to be part of the design. And I am cutting down the other piece of pattern paper to the same dimensions as that mauve colored piece of paper. So now I'm going to score both of them at the 4 1/4 mark and then fold them over in half. And since I'm using double-sided paper, you can see a different pattern on both sides. If you do decide you wanted the card to feel a little more heavyweight, you could glue a piece of a white card base behind this. This paper, though, is fairly heavyweight on its own, and I decided not to add anything to mine. Now, as you'll notice, on this particular side of the paper, there is something I'm going to be covering up because that is where the description or name of the pattern paper is. So this is the side of the card that actually is not really going to be seen once I finish designing it. However, I am going to cover it with a 1-inch strip of paper on each end so that you don't see that part of it anymore. And now that I've done that, I'm going to take this smaller flip fold die. It actually only die cuts the center part with the wavy part of it, and the two lines that are going up and down above only make score marks. So I have a piece of yellow paper that is cut to 2 1/8 inch wide. The reason is because that is halfway across the size of that panel. So that's the halfway point for a 4 1/4 inch panel. So I'm going to line up my die so that it is right butted up exactly against that, and then I will take that piece of paper away, hold down the die, and then add some tape to hold it in place so I can run it through my die cut machine. And I will do the exact same thing on the blue piece of paper that I'm doing on the mauve piece of paper right here. And so when I pull the tape off, what you'll see is what I'm left with is the die cut there in the center part, and I'm going to fold the paper back on itself and reinforce that with a bone folder. And then for the other, well, what I realized is I had not exactly picked the right place to press that down, so I'm fixing that right now. And once I've done that, I'm going to fold the card so that, or the back of the card, so that I have a basic flip fold card right here. And like I said, I will do the exact same thing to the blue piece of paper as well. I just don't show it on camera. So I've taken 2 of the wavy framelit dies from this set, taking the 3rd largest and the 4th largest ones, and I'm cutting those from white cardstock. Now I've set up my MISTI so that I can stamp both of these panels at the exact same time. So I have a sentiment that I'm going to stamp on the inside of the card, plus the boxing gloves on the bottom on the smaller piece. Now, one thing you will not see me do on screen is I'm actually going to stamp the gloves on another piece of that exact or another die cut the same size, because I'm going to put those gloves on the inside of the flip fold card as well as on the outside. So I decided I wanted to use a dark gray ink, and so I used my MISTI because I did need to stamp several times until I had a solid image. In the end, it almost ended up looking black anyway, but my goal here was to just have a dark gray color since I'm using such a light, almost pastel colored pattern paper with this. And so I'm going to use some liquid glue now that I've stamped the sentiment that will go on the inside of the card. I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of wiggle room to put that in place, because I'm basically just judging by the front of the flip fold where I want the placement, so it's hiding the sentiment when the card is closed. So you'll see what I mean in just a second. So now I'm closing the front of the card, and this allows me to kind of move that white piece around until I have it placed exactly where I want it. Then I can press it down to put it in place. And so that takes care of part of the inside of the card. And this is where I'm going to show you how I will glue another copy of those gloves, or the second stamp copy, on the inside. I just don't show it on screen. So I will show you gluing it to the outside panel right here, and I'm going to use the same liquid adhesive to make sure that I can get that perfectly placed onto my flip card. And then I'm going to do the exact same steps with the blue card, so it's pretty much exactly the same. The only thing I haven't shown is gluing the same gloves on the inside, but you will see that in the pictures that are at the beginning of the video, as well as my blog link should you visit that. Another thing I wanted to add is a sentiment on the outside of the card. So I stamped the same thing twice and just cut a strip. I stamped it on white paper and cut it into a smaller strip. I'm just gluing that left hand side so it attaches to the flap on the left hand side, and therefore when the card is open you will still see that sentiment. And although you're not seeing it right now, you will see the gloves on the inside of the card as well. For a final touch, I wanted to make the gloves look a little more dimensional, and I used some Nuvo crystal glaze to accomplish that. It's a lot like glossy accents or something like that. So I'm taping my cards closed temporarily just to keep them from moving too much while I apply this crystal glaze all over the gloves. And when they dry, they look really cool. And in fact, at the end of this video, if you keep watching, I'll show you a close-up of one of the finished gloves after it's dried. And here is the close-up I promised. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, I hope you'll leave me a thumbs up and possibly a comment. And I'll leave a couple of links here at the end of the video to some other things you might be interested in watching. I hope you have a great day, and I dare you to get artsy.